Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityaṁ bhāgavata-sevayā. Bhagavati uttamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Aradhayo bhagavan vrajeshatanayas tadhama vrindavanam. Ramya kachitupasana vrajavadhu vargena va kalpita. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam pramanam amalam prema pumartho mahan. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu matamidam tatradharana para. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Gurve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Varaha Pidam Natavara Vapu Karnayor Karnikaram Bibhradvasa Kanaka Kapisham Vejayantim Chamalam. Randhran Venu Adhara Sudhaya Apuryan Gopa Vrinde Vrindaranyam Swapadaramanam Pravishad Gita Kirti. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, dear worshipable devotees. Baldev Siva Prabhu, Raghu Prabhu, Philip Prabhu, and Vijay Mataji for joining, and for those who join later or here at later point, thank you for your wonderful association. We are reading today Canto 10, Chapter 21 of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Venu Geet. Venu means flute, Krishna's dearmost flute. And the gopis, the English title is The Gopis Glorify the Song of Krishna's Flute. So, very, very wonderful chapter. And yesterday we were discussing about the wonderful glories or the beauty of Lord Krishna. How he is wearing the golden yellowish clothes which are brilliant. How he is having Karnika flower on his ear. How he has peacock feather on his head. How he is the expert amongst the dancers. How he is wearing the Vaijayantim Chamalam. The Vaijayanti Mala means the Vaijayanti is a type of flowers, and Mala means the garland. Randhran Venu, and then he is putting the nectar, Sudhaya, is the nectar from his Krishna's lotus lips is entering the holes of the Venu. And the Gopa Vrinda, all the Gopa friends, they are entering Vrindavan, Vrindaranyam, Swapada, with his own lotus feet. Vrindavan is Krishna's home. And as we know in Vedic culture, people don't wear footwear inside the home, right? When we go on a road or in a car, we wear shoes, sandals, slippers, etc. But most in the Vedic culture, we keep the footwear out as we enter the home. So Krishna does not wear footwear inside the home. When he's in Dwarka, when he's outside, he does wear shoes, sandal, whatever, chapel. But in Vrindavan, he is marking every particle of dust with his auspicious marks on his lotus feet. And that is the mood we were discussing The season is very appropriate. The flower breezes are very appropriate. The nectar, the temperature is perfect. Everything is perfect, and the gopis are meditating upon as Krishna is entering Vrindavan with his friends. So we discussed these verses yesterday till text 5. We're going to move further. As I said, we are just touching the surface. I am just a neophyte soul with little or no devotion, and to glorify Krishna is not much beyond my capacity, but whatever little we can do, we are trying. But if you want to hear in more detail, more nectar, right, as I already shared, there are a lot of lectures available, primarily by His Grace Amarendra Prabhu. He has like a 40-day class on these 20 verses, or even 60-day, I think. So each verse he is taking 2-3 hours. Each verse he is like kind of going in that level of detail. So with that, we will move on to text number 6. Iti Venu Ravam Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shrutva Vrajastriya Sarva Varanyanyato Abhire. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace Abhicharana Ravind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada disciples ki jai. O king, when the young ladies in Vraja heard the sound of Krishna's flute, which captivates the minds of all living beings, they all embraced one another and began describing it. Purport. The word iti here indicates that after becoming speechless by remembering Krishna, the cowherd damsels then regained their composure and were thus able to ecstatically describe the sound of Krishna's flute, as a few gopis began to exclaim, and the other gopis realized that they shared the same ecstatic love within their hearts. All of them started embracing one another, overwhelmed with conjugal love for young Krishna. So this is the effect. It is the power of hearing, my dear friends. They are hearing Krishna's flute, right? That hearing about the name, form, qualities, or anything in connection to Krishna arises the topmost love for Krishna. The famous example also in this case is Rukmini, who had never seen Krishna in the past. She had only heard about Krishna. Just by hearing about Krishna, she attained topmost love for Krishna, and then she wanted to only marry Krishna, and then she sent the letter with the hand of the Brahmana that, come Krishna, please, I'm about to be married to someone else. I do not want to be married to Shishupal. You please come. So that's the power of hearing. Shrunvatam swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtana hride antasti abhadrani vidhunoti suritsatam satam prasange mama virya samvido grinanti hrit karna rasayana kathata joshanadapavarga vartamani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramashyati. When we hear Krishna Katha in the association of devotees, with faith, with attention, all the impurities are gone if we continuously hear. And faith, love, and bhakti, and sincerity, everything's come step by step by the sincere process of hearing, or also called Shravanam. So that's the power of hearing anything in connection to Krishna, Krishna's holy name, Krishna's form, about Krishna's rupa that we are doing now, about Krishna's qualities, about Krishna's devotees, glories of Tulasi, glories of tomorrow is Akshay Tritiya, glories of anything, holy places, holy rivers, holy dhams, holy deities, the devotees, Vaishnava festivals, glories of even prasadam, right? And everything and anything in connection to Krishna that has the power to awaken love for Krishna. So we must try our best to follow this process sincerely. And amongst the 9 limbs of bhakti, the first and the foremost is Shravanam. Ears are always active. Even while we are sleeping, the ears are active. Even when the child is in the womb, the ears are active. Ears are active till the soul is in the body. So we must take advantage of the hearing of Krishna Katha. If we do not do so, then those ears are compared to snake holes in the Bhagavatam itself. So in short, we must use our ears for the right purpose. And that right purpose is to hear about Gita, to hear about Bhagavatam, to understand, to apply. And that brings the ecstatic love within our heart. And what happened? The gopis, when they heard this Krishna's flute, their minds were completely captivated. Their minds were completely attached. And they were spellbound. And they started to embrace each another. Tadabhritya gatra sparsha anga sangami. That's also an act of devotion. Of course, we have to keep the bodily differences in mind. We are not, unless one is in the, one should not, that means Prabhus can embrace Prabhus and Matajis can embrace Matajis. That is the Vaishnava culture. That's what we see here. And this is also an act of devotion. If done with the right intent. If done with the right intent, this is also an act of devotion. And Amrish Maharaj also says that touching the bodies of the Vaishnavas or embracing the bodies of the Vaishnavas is also kind of the right use of the body. So any other thoughts anyone has, or any additions, comments? Let's move on to the next verse, text number 7. Someone like to read? Baldev Prabhu, want to try?
Yes, sure, Guruji. Hare Kṛṣṇa Buri, Dhanava Pranam, all go to Srila Prabhupada. Text 7. Sri Gopa Uchu Akshanatam Palam Idam Na Param Vidhama Shakho Poshon Ono Vivashayotar Vayoshai Bhaktram Brajesha Shutar Ono Venu Justam Yarbha Nipitam Onurakto Kataksho Moksham. Translation purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada and his disciples Ki Joy. Translation. The cowherd girl said, "O friends, those eyes that see the beautiful faces of the sons of Maharajananda are certainly fortunate." And those 2 sons entered the forest surrounded by their friends. Driving the cows before them, they hold their flutes to their mouths and glance lovingly upon the residents of the Vrindavan. For those who have eyes, we think there is no greater object of vision. Purport. This translation is quoted from Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila 4.155. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has commented as follows: the gopis mean to say, "O friends, if you simply remain in the shackles of family life in this material world, what will you ever get to see? The Creator has granted us these eyes. So let us see the most wonderful thing there is to see Krishna." The gopis were aware that their mothers or other elder persons might hear their romantic words and disapprove, and thus they said, "Akshanatam phalam." To see Krishna is a goal for all persons and not simply ourselves. In other words, the gopis indicated that since Krishna is the supreme object of love for everyone, why could not they also love him in spiritual ecstasy? According to the Acharyas, a different gopi spoke this and each of the following verses through text 19. So it's a very beautiful verse and part by Srila Prabhupada. So as you know that devotee has to develop a premanjana charito. The eyes has to have love. That love has to be created within us, that we can see Krishna, and gopis are the topmost devotees of Krishna. So they have their eyes, they have that mind to hear, to see Krishna, and they gopis, they have the female body, but doesn't mean like they cannot be devotee. So devotee can be male and female, and it is Krishna for everybody, even for the all creations, all creatures. So though the question come, gopis are the for the materialistic people, that Krishna's and gopis relations, but here gopi is telling that, and Srila Vishnu Thakur explaining that Krishna is for everybody, irrespective of the genders, irrespective of the ages, irrespective of the bodily conception. Krishna is for all creations. But only Krishna can be seen when there is love to Krishna. Even going to the temple, I will not see Krishna because I did not have that love that devotees and gopis has. Back to Rosie. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Baldev Prabhu. I'm thinking this verse, if I have to kind of give a title, is like the perfection of senses. See, God has given us different senses: the eyes to see, right? The tongue to taste, the mouth to speak. And we can use these senses, all these karma indriya, action senses, jnana indriya, knowledge acquiring senses through eyes, through ears, etc. In the previous verse, we discussed the importance of hearing, but this verse is talking about the importance of seeing. What use are those, or what's the good use of those eyes if they're not seeing Krishna? We have the choice. We can watch movies. We can watch some nonsense content over the internet. We can just shut our eyes. I will not watch anything. Like, that Gandhi ji ke teen bandar. Don't see anything. Or bura na dekho. Don't see bad. Don't hear bad. Don't speak bad. Right? You've seen all that. But just the purpose is not negating the bad. The purpose is adding the good. That is bhakti. And the real purpose, as the gopis are explaining, the purpose of the eyes is to see. The perfection of the eyes is to see Krishna. The perfection of ears is to hear about Krishna. The perfection of the tongue is to taste Krishna Prasad. The perfection of the nose is to smell wonderful fragrances offered to Krishna. The perfection of the legs is to walk to the holy places, do circumambulation, parikrama. The perfection of the hands is to engage in cooking different items for Krishna and to do different services like cleaning the temple, etc. The perfection of the body is to use for the service of Krishna and for the world, keeping Krishna as the center. If we are not doing that, then what use is the body? What use are the eyes? What use are the ears? What use is the mouth? If we are not speaking, the perfection of mouth is to speak Krishna Katha. And you may say, it's not my thing. It is the great Maharaj Amrisha. Let's read this verse, or at least the translation. But it's a beautiful verse, so we'll read that. Savai manah Krishna padara vindayor vachansi vaikunta gunanu varnane Karo harira mandira marjina dishu shrutim chakar achyuta satkathodaye mukunda lingalya darshanau drishau tadbhritya gatra sparsha anga sangamam grihanam cha tadapada saroja saurabhe Śrīmad tulsaya rasanam tad arpite padau rishikesha padau hari shitra padanu sarpane Shiro Rishikesha Padabhivandane Kamam Chadasina tu Kama Kamyaya Yatha Uttama Shloka Jana Ashraya Ratihi. So here also, Mukunda Lingalya Darshanam Drishau, the perfection of eyes is to see the Mukunda Linga. That means the temple, the deities of the Lord. That means Krishna, Balram. The perfection of head, Shiro. What good is that head which does not bow at the lotus feet of Guru, Sadhu, and Vaishnavas and Krishna? Let's read the translation. Who would like to read this translation only? Anyone? Namita Mataji has joined. Would you like to read, Namita ji?
You want me to read the translation?
Yes, if you are able to, please.
Yeah. Maharaja Ambarasya always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna, his words in describing the glories of the Lord, his hands in cleaning the Lord's temple, and his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna's temples and Krishna's places like Mathura and Vrindavana. He engaged his sense of touch in touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of tulasi offered to the Lord, and he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasada. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and temples of the Lord, his head in bowing down before the Lord, and all his desires in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaja Ambarasya never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional services in various engagements related to the Lord. This is the way to increase attachment for the Lord and be completely free from all material desires.
Wow, isn't that powerful verse from the great Maharaj Ambrish, who is the Acharya of Atmanivedana? If we do not engage our senses in these, guess what? Senses are active, like wild horses. They need engagement. Then we will engage in wrong things. If we do not give positive engagement, Maya will anyways plan. If we don't plan positive engagement, Maya will plan something for them. And guess what? That will be TV, Hollywood, Bollywood, speaking bad, eating bad, watching bad, hearing bad. And I think we all know what, we meant, what we mean by that. So in short, we must Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uttama. The senses are supposed to be engaged in the service of the master of the senses, Rishi Kesha. Then we will be happy. If we serve in selfish agendas, we will never be happy. How many of us feel happy when we see deities? Genuine happiness. When we do some service with our ears or our eyes, like reading Bhagavatam, like cleaning the temple or cooking something for Krishna or going to a holy place. Do we feel genuine happiness, right? Absolutely. Now, how many of us feel happy? I mean, we may get some tickling pleasures if we engage in selfish engagement of senses, like watching a movie, like eating, something for our selfish senses. We may get some momentarily pleasure because of the past conditioning, but later we will repent it. We won't be true happiness. So this is the perfection. Now this verse onwards, Gopya Uchu. So Gopya is plural, Gopi is singular. Gopya means a group of gopis. In Sanskrit, I think we have discussed this multiple times. There is, in English, there is like singular and plural. In Sanskrit, there is one, two, and many. 3 layers. 1, 2, ekavachan, dvivachan, bahuvachan. So there are 3 layers in Sanskrit. But this is a group of gopis together. They are speaking this. And this is from this verse onwards, it's the Brahma Samhita meter. Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Right, so that meter will read. Aksharnvatam phalam idam na param vidana sakhya pashun anuvi sheshvat yatayor vayasai vaktram vrajesha sutayor anavenu jutstam yerva nipatam anurakta kataksha moksham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. That's the meter. We'll try to follow. I know Sanskrit is not our primary language, which is fine, but at least we'll try while we are aware of that now. So again, these are gopis, and they're feeling great separation in the conjugal rasa. Their parents would say, hey, don't look at Krishna. Now here, interestingly, they are mentioning Krishna and Balaram. They hold, right, as the 2 sons enter the forest, right? Sutayo, the word sutayo is used. Now, interestingly, I was hearing a class, like why sutayo is used? Why like a dvivachan is used too? Because if they directly say, oh, look at Krishna, then their feelings will be like, then, you know, they want to kind of hide it also. So indirectly hinting, because Krishna is carrying flute, Balramji is not carrying flute, Krishna is carrying flute. So they're indirectly referring to Krishna, but so that they don't get fingers pointed to them. Therefore, they're mentioning, oh, look at those 2 sons of, you know, Nanda Maharaj. So that's their parents would say, hey, why you keep looking at Krishna? You know, you should not be doing that. That's not chaste. Right? Yes. For a normal person, that absolutely. But indirectly, and this question comes in the hearts and minds of every, you know, many people. Why Krishna danced with so many girls? Why Krishna stole the garments of the gopis and stuff like that? So these kind of question people try to ask, why Krishna married 16,000 queens and stuff. So we'll take one by one. So the point is akshanvatam phalam. The aksha means eyes, and phala means the fruit or the result, the perfection of the eyes, or the result of the eyes is to see Krishna. Oh, parents, actually, it's not just that we should be looking at Krishna. You also must be looking at Krishna. Then only your eyes will be successful. Otherwise, your eyes are good for nothing. That's what they are trying to say. That they are trying to kind of give a very strong reference that to see Krishna is the goal of all persons, not simply ourselves, as mentioned in this first purport. To see Krishna, because Krishna, so one time Prabhupada was challenged, oh, is Krishna your God? Prabhupada said, Krishna is your God too. Right? And by this, we don't mean that, you know, we are fanatics and, hey, Krishna is everything, forget everything and surrender, otherwise you go to hell. That's not our mood, right? We don't force surrender. No one forced to us. We don't force to anyone. People come out of their sweet will and understanding of the Holy Scriptures. So this is Krishna consciousness. We don't say Krishna is God. That's because we are in Krishna consciousness. Right? That's an important point. We don't say, because we are in Krishna consciousness society, therefore Krishna is God. Krishna is God, therefore we are in Krishna consciousness society. So all of us had some conception in life, in prior life, right? This is God, that is God, everyone is God, I am God, you are God, or some other flavors. Or some of us may have even heard of Krishna, but none of us actually, I mean, I can say for myself, and maybe some of you I know a little more, that we didn't have a very strong connection with Krishna, right? That connection developed and strengthened after coming to Krishna consciousness, after knowing that yes, Krishna is God and why he is so. By the authorities, not just by because Prabhupada feels, oh, because so-and-so Prabhuji feels. No. All the bona fide scriptures and God himself is speaking that. And therefore Prabhupada quotes multiple times. So Krishna is your God too. I really like Prabhupada's statement there. He's God for everyone. Bhoktaram Yajña-tapasam sarvalokam maheshwaram. He's Jagannath. He's not just India Nath, not just Hindu Nath, not just Punjabi Nath or Telugu Nath or Bengali Nath. He's everyone's Nath. He's Gopi Nath. He's the Lord of the Gopis. Everyone's Nath. He's the master of everyone. Everyone is searching for Krishna. Some know it, some don't know it. Everyone is searching for happiness because Krishna is the source of all happiness. So now this question may come, then why does he steal? So why does he steal? He steals a lot of things, correct? He steals a lot of things, like butter, right? Like the clothes of the gopis, like many other things. So how can we, defend Krishna? Any thoughts?
One more time the question. Actually, I missed the question.
The question is, someone can say, hey, why Krishna, stole butter or stole the clothes of the gopis or stole something or stole, he steals many things. The question comes, why?
Because, Prabhuji, are you looking for an answer or are you asking the answer?
Like defense, something in defense of Krishna.
Defense of, it's all Krishna's, right? This is all Krishna's. We are like temporary. So it's not like he's stealing, but he's taking what he owns. But for others, if I think like he's taking mine, then I feel like it's stealing. But for him, it's all his. So it's not stealing from his point of view, or from our point of view. If we think it's
Very
all
nice.
his. So
yes, because everything belongs to him.
Him.
He's the Lord of everything. He's the proprietor and the master and the controller of everything. So if if I pick a pen from my table, would you call that a stealing? Right? No. If I pick an eraser from my table, that's not stealing. I got it. I mean, still, I consider that as mine, just for common living in the world, but we all know that I'm just a temporary caretaker. We are all temporary caretakers of temporary things which we stamp as ours. My house, my car, my this, my pen, my book, my table, my laptop. But we are just temporary caretakers. As we read in the previous chapter, if you remember, either the house will wither or the person will wither. Right? No, none is eternal. Either the gardener will go away or the flowers will go away. But Krishna always remains the absolute supreme proprietor of everything. So there's absolutely no question of stealing. There's absolutely no question of him enjoying with others because everything is his only. Rather, Prabhupada said, hey, what are you doing with your wife? That's a problem. You are trying to enjoy Krishna's property, thinking yourself as the enjoyer. You are this thief. Prabhupada said. So there is no question, and especially this is like pure, unalloyed, transcendental, topmost prema. 100% love, 0% lust. Spiritual world, Vrindavan. In material world, 99.99% lust, maybe 0.01% selflessness. That's material world, right? That is what it is. In material relationship, and therefore we see, oh, I really like this girl, but somehow that girl gets married to someone and I get mad and throw acid, right? Or try to kill her, or try to harm, right? That newspapers are full of that. Is that love? Oh, if she did not marry me, she will not marry anyone else also. I'll kill her. I'll kill anyone who is like connected to her. That happens all the time. Not just in films, but not just in real, but so much real people are seeing, and they imitate that in real life too. That is 100% lust, but this is 100% pure love. No doubt gopis were willing to go to hell in this famous pastime when Krishna had a headache, right? Krishna had a headache. One time Narad Muni was visiting, and Krishna looked worried, and Krishna, oh, my head is aching. And then Narad Muni said, can I do something? He wanted to test who is the greatest devotee, So, of course, Krishna is transcendental, but this Leela is happening to teach us transcendental lessons. So it is. So he said, okay, Narada, yeah, you can help. We can do the test. Narad Muni wanted to know who's the greatest devotee. So he said, okay, then you go to all my devotees, different types of devotees, different rishis, different, and then ask, tell them that Krishna's head is aching, and he's given a solution or a medicine also. What is the medicine? The dust of the devotees' lotus feet will be the cure. So Krishna will take the dust of the devotees' lotus feet, and that will be the cure of his headache. He said, okay. So Narad Muni started. First he went to some rishis who were tantra, mantra, vidya, doom, mantra, doing yagya, doing this, doing that. He said, oh, do you know that the purpose, the Yageshwara, the Supreme Lord has a headache? Oh, really? Oh, please tell, what can we do? Can we chant some mantras? Can we do some ahuti? Can we do something? He said, the solution is you have to give the dust of your lotus feet. Oh, Narad Muni, what are you asking? You know what will happen? If our dust from our feet goes to Krishna's head, that is such a big offense. We will going to hell. Sorry, we can't do this. Please excuse us. Please forgive us. We can't do this. And he meant to multiple devotees, and everyone kind of pretty much same. And then finally he came to the gopis. And the gopis inquired about Krishna. And then Narad Muni said, well, he's having a headache, and can you give the dust of your lotus feet? And then they got a big cloth. They all jumped in the sand, and then start jumping on that cloth so that all the dust particles can like shred off and collect in that big piece of cloth. And they made a big pile of dust from their lotus feet. And he said, Narad Muni, please take this. If you need more, tell us. Anything else we can do, please go immediately to Krishna so his headache can be cured. And Narad Muni was like, are you serious? Do you know the consequences? You may go to hell for this. Narad Muni said, Gopi said, We are willing to eternally go to hell if that gives a moment of relief to our dear Krishna. That is prema parikashta, the topmost love of the unalloyed pure gopis. That's what Lord Chaitanya has come to give us. So the point is, we should never, all this chapter and the following chapters also, we should always keep that in mind. There is 0% lust, 100% love. In material world, almost 100% lust, 99.999% lust only, selfishness. Maybe some relationship, like a mother may have some pure, unalloyed, selfless, intention towards a child, right? But still that has so much expectation. Oh, I want my child to be this. Oh, I want my child to be, my child should never let me down in front of everyone. So much expectations. I take kids class and I hear different parents, so many things. But still, we need to understand this is pure love we are talking about, and this is the perfection of senses. To engage our senses in the service of master of senses in selfless way, not for selfish purposes. At least sometime we can be selfless, at least for some time during the day, at least for some time during the week we can be selfless, if not 24/7. Hare Krishna. Sorry if I spoke too much, I don't know. But yeah, let's take some thoughts, some comments, some reflections so far. Anyone has any additions, thoughts, comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much. Thank you for clearly differentiating. I have one question, just more clarification. Lust in the sense, lust in the material world in the sense, not just like bodily attraction, but would any other like greed, anger. They have the terms have their own meaning, but here lust in the sense, what exactly is it?
Yeah,
only bodily or
yeah, you're right. It's not just the lust. Lust, commonly if we use the word lust, it will, the common understanding is opposite sex, which is correct. But there is much more to it, as you mentioned. It could be lust towards position, to selfishly use one's position. Hey, I am the president of the country. Hey, I'm the governor of the state. And people do anything to get that position. It could be towards money. Money is honey, more dear than honey, right? And then the outcome of lust, these three doors to hell, kama, esha, krodha, esha, rajaguna, samudbhava, lust, anger, and greed, they all go together. It's not that one is very lusty, but does not get angry. Impossible. Or one is very angry, but has zero lust. Impossible. They all go together, lust, anger, and greed, in harmony. They have a gang. So it could be lust towards power, it could be lust towards opposite sex, it could be towards money, it could be towards gadgets, it could be towards habits, bad habits, it could be towards position, it could be towards power, it could be towards money, it could be towards fame. These days, so much, about fame, name. Oh, I have this many followers, I have that many followers, but whom do I follow? That no one. I follow my mind and senses. So we are living in a real world and forgetting the real world, and therefore a lot of problems are happening because of that. So it could be lust towards anything, which is accompanied by selfishness. The main goal is I, me, and mine. I, me, and mine.
Thank you,
That's the
Prabhuji.
main intention. Atmendriya priti vancha tare bole kham. Atmendriya priti vancha tare bole kham. Krishnera priti ichha dhare premanam. Lust and love. Very clear difference in Caitanya-caritāmṛta. When something is done for our selfish purposes, Atmendriya, for to please me, my extended self. Sometimes one could be very frugal for oneself, but is very lusty towards, let's say, oh, I want to, my child should get the best and the best and the best car, best home, best. He or she may be frugal, but for the child they'll do anything. Now it may seem selfless, but actually it's called extended selfishness. Because my child is the focus there, not every child, or my community, oh, he's from my community. I will do everything for him because he's from my community. That's also called extended selfishness. But Prabhupada, great souls, they are udar charitra. They are not miser. They are very broad-minded. Udar charitra. They are vasudeva kutumbakam. The whole world is their family. So something is done for my own selfish agenda, selfishness, that's called lust. When something Krishna priti ichha, what will please Krishna? Will this please Krishna? Will Krishna is the intention of doing this to please Krishna? Then it becomes love. That's the lust and love difference.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Anything I in the center is lust, and anything Krishna in the center is love. Right, Prabhuji? Thank you, Prabhuji.
Wow, you really summed it up so well. Thank you. Any other comments, thoughts anyone has?
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Prabhuji. Just an extension of that is very subtle, and I find it hard to tell this to other people or try to explain it to other people if they ask me or if it comes up in conversation. But there's even this lust is very subtle in my experience, and maybe you can confirm if I'm correct in this, that even selflessness, if it feels like I am being selfless, then often it's so subtle, we're so conditioned that we don't realize that we're lusting for our own sort of egoic sort of goodness, so that we are sort of better than others that are not selfless. And like Mataji said, that's where it's I-centered, selflessness is I-centered, but then if selflessness is Krishna-centered, then that seems better. Do you have any experience with the subtleties of these two and any guidance on that? Thank you. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Krishna. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, my spiritual master, has mentioned this example. Even the beggar can be proud of his torn blanket. My blanket has 2 holes, yours has 4, so I'm better than you. It's very subtle, absolutely. Sometimes these days we see people, with no offense to anyone, I'm not pointing to anyone, please don't take it in that way. Oh, I'm feeding the homeless. But the first thing, oh, let me take a selfie. Feeding homeless, feeding poor people, giving them blanket. What is the real goal? What is the real goal? They may hide from others, but they cannot hide it from God. Is the real goal to genuinely, selflessly give them? That is wonderful. And I'm not judging anyone's intention. But if the real goal is by doing so, I'll post this on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, Instagram, all these social media, and people will say, wow, good job. You are such a selfless person. You are such a noble soul. I've never seen a charitable person like you. All glories to you. Kudos. Thank you for doing this. Wow. And that person, yes. It's feeding that bubble of false ego. in Vedic culture, there is something called when the right hand gives the charity, the left hand should not know. My father told it me way back. I remember that when the right hand gives the charity, the left hand should not know that the right hand has given the charity. Very deep, because the mind and senses, first at the gross level. See, at subtle level, it may be hard to cure. The subtler it is, the harder to identify, and the harder the cure. But first of all, even like curing lust, one may get a bad desire, right? One may get a bad desire, but if one acts into that bad desire, that's really bad, right? If one gives into the mind and acts upon a bad desire, that's really bad. Like even in the management, they say, hey, you could have a bad day, but don't talk bad. Don't mix bad words with bad emotions. Don't mix bad emotions with bad words. You could have a family situation. Someone in your family could have said something, but that doesn't mean you start bringing that out in your words and actions right here. Then they are under serious problem if they do that. That's highly unprofessional. So seva in bhakti also I was linking, because recently there was something in my office which led to all this discussions, and I was talking to my manager about this, that someone behaved very unprofessionally, and my manager and I have really good understanding, and he is like kind of a bhakti yoga student, or very interested in that. So he understands all this so clearly, and we have every day such nice conversations in our meetings about this, which is a good blessing for me by Krishna's mercy. Anyways, the point I wanted to bring, that yes, curing subtle things is harder. Curing subtle things is harder, but at least we identify that and not try to give into those. It could be towards anything, right? Like if someone says, oh, I have zero lust, that person, even in the mind, I don't think of anything bad, that person is really a Mahajan. That person is really a very, very elevated soul who does not even mind, even in the mind, they don't think of anything bad, ever. Even a bad thought does not enter their mind. That's very elevated position. I am not at that level. I want to be open and honest, and there's nothing to be humble or to be subtly humble or anything. This is just my situation. But at least at my level, don't give into those. Don't act upon those is a very good thing also. And don't try to, because bad thoughts could be result of something we did 20 years back also. Suddenly the thought may come, a song may come. We don't want to, we're not hearing that song, but suddenly it may just pop up in the mind. But nonetheless, we should not do activities which will further feed the bad thoughts, or the bad ego, or the subtle aspect of it. And we should not do activities, oh, my mind is saying, hey, why not to have a cigar, right? Because I'm getting that thought in my mind. I'm just saying, I never smoke in this life, at least. I don't know about previous lives, but in this life, I never smoke. But let's say, I'm just telling, for example, someone got it, my mind is saying to smoke, and I just end up doing it. That's not good. If the thought comes, Krishna says, gives the solution. Bring it back. Bring it back. The thought may come. Bring it back. Bring it back. So yes, subtle aspects are harder. Yes, they are very deep-rooted. Yes, they are harder to identify also. But if one is open, honest, and takes shelter of Guru Sadhu Shastra, one will not only identify that, one will not feed those, and one will not kind of bring those into actions. And gradually, they will diminish. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Any thoughts or any corrections? I know it's this heavy topic. I'm just theoretically.
Yes, Prabhuji, this is a very heavy topic and depends on the person to person. But sometimes we see, Prabhuji, good activities also is contagious. Like as you said, that someone doing some charity and showing that might also, if they do the good intent, definitely it depends on the person to person. Their understanding, their teachings, their bhakti might inspire others to the same thing. On the other side also, like we do donations sometimes in openly, like we did the TOBP that inspired each other also.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we don't have to judge anyone's intentions ever, even if they put a big video, a big photo, a big, that I gave $1 million to this Iskcon temple. Great, right? We have to always take it in the right way, but for ourselves, we have to always be cautious and careful of our intentions. Yes, because it's all, bhakti is all about intentions. Even one could donate $1 and be proud. One could donate 1 million and be very humble. So it's not the amount or the action, it's the intention behind it in every aspect of life. As I said, the beggar could be proud of the torn blanket, right? And great souls like Amrish Prabhu, they have practically given millions of dollars, but there is no tinge of pride in their heart. If you meet them, if you see their actions, their demeanor, their behavior, there is no question of pride there. So that's what we have to try to be like, follow in the footsteps of great souls. Hare Krishna. Anything before we pause for today? So thank you again for your wonderful Sangha. Tomorrow is Saturday and Akshaya Tritiya, so we will do some reading. And it's a very holy day to engage more in bhakti, charity, and in devotional service. So we will pause for today and continue. Grantra Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Purana ki jai, Jagat Guru Śrī Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhya Śrī Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Śrīla Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.